Hi, Mom. It's another gardening update. Things have been moving along very well for the garden for 2014, and in part to show you the progress, but also to document it as I wait for a herd of cows to destroy it, or perhaps a hailstorm, or a tornado. We actually had tornado warnings the other night. In the interim, things are actually doing very well. Maybe Uncle John is helping me out a little bit here, but at any rate, whatever it is, things are looking really good, so I thought another quick tour of the garden might just be in order. These container plants are the result of, again, good luck and I think a good season at the garden center. There are red cabbages and eggplants, several varieties of peppers. In the background up here at the top, some purple potatoes. These red cabbage plants are just doing incredibly well. There's not actually any cabbage in them yet, but much to my amazement, they're growing phenomenally well. We've got a total of 4 of them, and they are all extremely healthy. So with a little luck, I might get 2 or 3 pounds out of each head of cabbage. I've got 2 different varieties of eggplant this year, and considering every other attempt has been a total failure before these, I think there's some hope on the horizon for eggplant parmesan. I'll be sure to save a few for Jim. Both of the varieties are what they call dwarf varieties, so I'm hoping the fact that they're not 5-pound eggplants might help the plants survive. Here's the Morning Glory framework and project there. If you remember from the first video, they were just getting started. They're beginning to fill in the framework. It's interesting with them, the initial shoots, I guess the vining tips that reach out, were all sorts of chaotic. When I finally got 1 or 2 of them pointed in the right direction and hooked onto the string that makes up the pattern there, all the rest followed. So I thought that was pretty good. To the left in the frame is a very abundant supply of garlic chives, which are excellent for scrambled eggs and all sorts of different recipes. Another relatively impossible to kill crop I found, and very prolific too. And here are the pole beans, the climbing beans that were just getting started for the first video. They are growing up within this cage here and also in one behind it, and working their way across the top of the laurel branches as a framework for it. No beans yet, but it's looking really good, and they've always been very prolific. So we'll see how much we get out of this. And it's really interesting the way that the vines work their way up together and cover it all up. The vines are intertwining together. There are 2 types of pole beans this year. One, the regular commercial type, and also an heirloom variety. We shall see how they work out. But they curl and twist and find their way along whatever framework is available. And in this case, it's about 10 feet worth of these branches that extend across, and then there's something of a framework at the other end. So if I can get 10 feet across and 6 feet up, going to be a lot of beans with any luck at all. And each one of those leaf formations, there are triplets at a time. Each one of them will put out a bean or 2. So as it stands right now, I wouldn't be surprised if I was able to get 20 or 30 pounds out of these beans this year. The hummingbird feeder is up. I've seen at least 4 different hummingbirds, and there might be more, but they're pretty quick. It's pretty tough to get them on camera. I may try one of these days, but at least I know they're around. One of the successes so far that might be able to withstand whatever nature or the herd of cows attacks us with this year are the potatoes. This started from a half a barrel with the seed potatoes at the bottom, and they're now up this high, which would put it at about 5 feet tall, and these potato plants on the top are still growing. Now we will see my tedious qualifier, but according to what I've researched on it, if this fills out the way it should and the way it's going toward, I could have close to 100 pounds of potatoes in this one bucket for 4 square feet in terms of the footprint. I think that's pretty good. And there are also red potatoes and purple potatoes that have not gotten this far, but they're on their way. So it could be a long, cold winter, but I will have potato soup through 2014 and 2015 if this all works out. The early peas are doing remarkably well. I have had good luck with those over the years. They're really tasty. You don't get too much for volume generally, but they're very tasty. Excellent, just snacking on the garden. And once they come in, while you putter through the crops, you can have a good meal with them. They're really tasty. They're doing very well this year. The garden tour would not be complete if I didn't update the progress on Wethersfield Reds. The onions, they are doing very, very nicely. I'm looking forward to a few of them. And considering the fact that I've stopped eating onions, probably means I'm going to have a tremendous bumper crop out of them. We'll see. But they are doing extremely well. The blueberry bush is having its best year ever. I don't know if you remember him, but Tom Ninolfi, the fellow with Carolina Native Landscapes, gave me this bush at the end of the Sea Expo, and I think it was 2005 or 2006, and every year it's done very well. The chipmunks and the birds have gotten it most of the time, but this year it's doing extraordinarily well, and I'm not sure just what the reason is, but I'm not complaining. I haven't seen the chipmunks so far. They may be laying in wait with napkins on for the harvest. They are just starting to go ripe. But the compact discs that I've got hanging over the plant appear to be doing a really good job of keeping the birds away, but not distracting the hummingbirds. Last year the birds got quite a few of the blueberries. So if the chipmunks are on vacation and the birds get scared off by CD discs, it could be a good year for blueberry jam. And so that concludes our brief video garden tour. As a few storm clouds are rolling in, we'll see if I can beat the rain with the camera. I'm also skulking about. I just saw a hummingbird go for the feeder. Maybe I can catch that on the video. Well, that wraps up a successful garden shoot. I did get the hummingbird on the video. Hope you enjoyed it, Mom. Love you. Bye-bye.